Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to wait a little bit so more people can join us, and then we'll start.
So Carolina, you're gonna look for the time and maybe just flag us if
No, I
we
think we can
extend.
start. No, I think it's good. I think we can start. This is going to be recording too, so if someone misses some parts, they can go to YouTube and watch it. So we can start.
Sure. I mean, if we talk too much, you can just
Okay.
like say something.
Okay.
Just look for the time. Thank you.
Yes, I will.
Okay, so let's start. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us for this webinar about visa updates. My name is Marie-Ève Laure. I'm one of the co-founder of the Digital Nomad Association Colombia with Carolina, who's with us, Francois and Nadia also, who's traveling today, so she cannot be with us. We also have a big team now. So we're growing. We have volunteers. We have a community manager, Maria for the events. We also have ambassadors, and now we also have new volunteers to help us with all the projects that we have in progress right now. Just to remind you, if it's the first time that you hear about the Digital Nomad Association, our purpose is to connect, guide, and inspire digital nomad through their experience in Colombia. So our mission is to really connect digital nomad and locals with the culture in Colombia. So to do that, we do many things. We have many projects in progress, but we do regular webinars such as this one. We have in-person events also. So the next events are going to start in November. And we also have a partnership with local businesses. So when you become a member of the association, you can go on the website, become a member, and you have access to discounts with all our partners. And we're also open to growing this partnership. So if you would like us to be partner with another business, or if you know a business that would like to partner with us, don't hesitate to contact us. And it will be a great joy for us to contact them. So just before we go to the main topic and our main guest for today, I'm pleased to announce that we have a new partner that maybe a lot of you already know. The partner is Selena. So Selena is giving to all the Digital Nomad Association members a 20% discount on room renting, a 10% discount on food and drinks, and a 5% discount on co-working space. So you can just go on our website. You can also see all the other partners that give you discount, and you can also become a member. And now we have, well, I'm pleased to introduce you to Cesar because he is also a partner of the association. So you can also get a great discount for Cesar services by being a member of the association. So Cesar, let's start this very big topic that we are all waiting for, the updates of the Digital Nomad Visa.
Yes, Marie, thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Cesar Castro. I'm an attorney. I'm a licensed attorney here in Colombia. a little bit a backstory about myself. I was raised in California. I'm Colombian by birth, but now I'm a licensed attorney here in Colombia, helping a lot of expats try to navigate through all these complicated issues. Um, I'm glad to see some familiar faces like Rodney, Thomas. Great to see you guys. And yeah, let's begin. The Colombian Digital Nomad Visa. It's a very popular
Excuse
topic right
me.
now.
Excuse me, Cesar. I just want to tell everyone that we're gonna take questions, but we're gonna take the questions at the end. So you can write them in the chat right now if you want, but we're gonna answer the questions only at the end. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we're going to go into depth into understanding the whole digital nomad visa situation. It's a very popular topic, and I know there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of the topics that need to be covered. So let's begin. And next, please. Before we begin, I'm the CEO of CS Law Group. Castro and Law is our law group. This is my team. We have attorneys in Panama, Ecuador. We also have tax experts, financial experts, and translators. And we currently, recently partnered up with an apostle service in the US. So we cover all the requirements and services needed for any type of visa. Next, please. If you want to follow us on social media, I recommend it. We have Instagram, which is CS Law Group. You can follow us there. If you have, we are always updating with information related for digital nomads, new laws that come out related to visas. We're giving a webinar, giving all types of information. So if you want to follow us on social media, please don't hesitate to follow us. Okay, so let's begin with the digital nomad visa. What is it? To provide remote services or teleworking from Colombia through digital means and internet exclusively for foreign companies as independent labor related. So basically what this means is that if you are working from abroad, if you have a contract, for example, from a company in the US or Canada or Europe, but your company gives you the facility of working abroad remotely. So as long as you're a remote worker, which is very important, you cannot work in Colombia. You have to be from a company abroad and permitted to work remotely in Colombia. As long as you comply with these requirements, that you work remotely in Colombia with a company from abroad. The validity of this visa is up to 2 years. There's a lot of misinformation with this topic. I want to clarify it because on social media and some social platforms, there's this misinformation going on that the digital nomad visa is only for 180 days or 6 months. That's false. The visa's up to 2 years. That's what the resolution 5477 of 2022 has indicated that um, it's under the discretion of the Colombian government to give you up to 2 years. Does it mean that you're always going to get 2 years of the visa? No, it's under the discretion. That's why the law is very clear and up to 2 years. In my experience, clients have up to 1 year, 1 year and 6 months, 1 year and 8 months. Everything's tied to the policy. We'll go into depth, with the down the road with this presentation. But if you have a policy that covers you for 2 years, there's a good possibility they'll grant you the 2 years. Does that guarantee it? No. But just to give you clarity on this, how long do you get for the digital nomad visa? It could be up to 2 years, but it's not always guaranteed that you'll get the full amount. Beneficiaries. You can have beneficiaries. For example, if you're a digital nomad visa, if you're a digital nomad and you come down with your family, maybe you want to come down with your spouse, your partner. This visa permits having beneficiaries. We're going to go more into depth into what is a beneficiary down in the next presentation. So those who do not require short stay visa will be able to enter into Colombia, don't generate payments from Colombian companies, and stay a period no more than 180 days continuous during the calendar year. So when you come in with a tourist permit into Colombia, you have 180 days. That means you enter with something that's called a tourist permit. That's something different from a visa. When you come in with that tourist permit, it permits you to establish yourself as a tourist. That's why it's called a tourist permit. Um, you're only granted 180 days during the calendar year. If that is sufficient for you, which is 6 months, then you don't need a visa. But if you're a person that wants to stay here more than the 6 months that you get during the calendar year, then that's when you need a visa. So, for example, if you're getting close to your 180 days and you're saying, well, you know what, I like Colombia, it's fun, it's great to be here, it's a beautiful country, which it is. And, I don't want to just stay here 180 days, I want to stay here more time. Then that's when the digital nomad visa comes into effect because that's considered a V category visa. So, those are two different. That's very important to clarify that. If you're going to stay 6 months during the year, then you don't need a visa. If you want to stay in Colombia more than 180 days, then get a visa. It's beneficial because you get a cédula extranjería, which is an ID card. Any visa that surpasses 3 months, you automatically get an ID card. This ID card is going to facilitate your stay. You can book bank accounts, you can get cable service, sign lease agreements, etc. So if that's your intention, I would, you know, highly recommend getting a visa, a digital nomad visa. If you're here for 6 months, 3 months, you don't really need that, then you can just stay with the tourist permit time that the Colombian government gives you. Next, please. Okay, what are the requirements? Well, a letter in Spanish or English issued by one of several foreign companies in which the foreigner provides his services. This is a verification letter. You have to comply with certain requirements, for example, salary, type of contract, when did you begin your services? What type of contract do you have? Do you have a service agreement? Do you have an employment agreement? These are two different types of contracts. So if you have a service agreement, you're a contractor. If you have an employment agreement, you have a direct employment through the company. So this verification letter is kind of a summary of all the information related to your employment. Next, please. Demonstrate through bank statements to have a minimum income equivalent to 3 current minimum legal wages in Colombia. It's important that this can change. To this day, it's around $770 that you have to have monthly if you have in the past 3 months. You have to verify this through bank statements. The bank statements have to be under your name. It has to show that this income is provided by your employer, and you have to show this minimum amount. A lot of people are saying, well, can I just, make 780? Well, the ideal thing is to have more than the $770. But they are going to verify this information. They're going to go through the bank statements, verify that you are making this minimum amount. It has to be of the past 3 months. Next. Important, the health policy. Health policy with coverage in Colombia against all risk in case of accident, illness, maternity. I'm sorry. Okay. I was hearing some voice. Sorry about that. Health policy with coverage in Colombia against all risk in case of accident, illness, maternity, disability, hospitalization, death, or repatriation. This is important. A lot of people have gotten misinformation saying, well, can I get just like an EPS, health coverage in Colombia? The regular health insurance for Colombian nationals, the same one that they use for Colombian nationals. No, it has to be a travel policy. Specifically, hopefully for nomads, there's a lot of agencies that provide this type of coverage. It has to be in regard to this coverage in accident, illness, maternity, disability, hospitalization. It's important that it has a minimum of 1 year coverage. If you can get the 2 year coverage, even better. But it has to be for coverage during your stay in Colombia. If it's some type of other coverage, for example, health policy that you have with your company in the States or Canada or Europe, it's not going to work. It has to be indicate specifically that you have coverage within Colombia. Or another way of the way the policies work is that they'll say coverage worldwide except for US and Canada. If it says that, that's fine because implicitly it's saying that you have coverage in Colombia. So it's important that these factors are considered when getting the right policy. Because if you don't provide this, you're gonna go through a lot of hassle. They're gonna do a requerimiento. You have to go back and forth, and that's why it's important to have the correct policy. Next, please. Some of the insurance companies that have worked for a lot of my clients. We don't have partnership with these companies. It's some of the companies that some clients have used. I would recommend going more into depth into kind of consulting and going to their web pages and seeing what the best policy would be in regards to prices. There's a lot of companies that, for example, this card you have to pay up front for the whole year or 2 years. Sonomad, I don't know exactly how they work. With safety wings, they have good coverage. They're compliant, they're very specific, and it works a lot of times with the digital nomad visa. So these companies just make sure that the coverage, they give you a certificate that indicates the scope of the coverage of what the law indicates that I showed you in the previous presentation, and indicate minimum 1 year. If you can do more than the year, then you get the 2 years and coverage for Colombia. This is very, very important. Has to be very specific. If it doesn't have this in the policy, then they're going to just do an inadmission or requerimiento or request for more information. Next, please. What are the government fees? This varies because one thing is what the actual official website says, and one thing is what they actually charge. Supposedly, what they should charge you is $55 for the review process. Once the application is ready, and for example, in our case, what we do our clients is that once we have all the information ready, we review all the documentation, make sure everything's compliant. We send in the application. The government charges a $55 review fee. This is the first part. So that we send you a link to the government entity's website where they send you a link for payment. You pay, and that's when officially your process begins. If all goes well, and there's not a requerimiento or request for more information, or an admission, or decline, rejection of the visa, then the final step would be the approval. The approval also has a fee. It has an electronic visa fee. So that's $178 approximately. Once you have the visa, they send you the electronic visa, then you have to go to Migración Colombia, and they charge you $65 for the ID card. The ID card is important. This is the only thing you have to do directly at the office, and you pay them the $65. They take a picture, and then 8 days later, typically, they'll give you the actual ID card with your information and everything. So a total of $233. Next, please. Or the beneficiaries. These are people that can be tied to your visa. So you'll be the main holder of the visa, and these beneficiaries will have the same time and the same benefits that you have as a digital nomad. So in relation to the law, in the law that indicates 5477, it indicates that the spouse of or permanent partner, children under the age of 25, dependent financially of the visa holder, and children with disabilities. And under the new law, it's important to clarify, parents are no longer considered beneficiaries. Before October of last year, you can include your parents. Now, under new law, they're excluded from this benefit. And next, please. So, some of the changes with the new regimen, the new changes that have took effect last year, because the immigration law had a big change in all of the visas. And in regard to the actual process, Now, under new law, the immigration authority has to 30 calendar days to issue the pronouncement, which previously was 5 days. So, I've seen a lot of clients saying, well, Caesar, it's taken, more than a couple of weeks, under this new law, unfortunately, it's taking up to 30 days. So by law, the government, official has 30 days to review your documentation. Once the application is sent in, they have 30 days. Do they always comply with the 30 days? In reality, no. Um, in a perfect world, that's what they should happen. But a lot of times, not always, they take more than 30 days. They take maybe 35 days, 37 days. Um, but at my law firm, what we do is if this happens, we send something that's called un derecho a petición, which is a request, a legal request to have clarification of why we're not getting a response when the law indicates that they have 30 days to respond. Typically, it works because it kind of just highlights the situation that we're not getting a response when we should have gotten a response as what the law indicates. So it's very important to have patience, very important to, if you already requested a digital nomad visa and you're going to renew, you give enough time to get this process going and ready, because it's not like before October of last year, when the government would respond in 5 days. You would have a visa in 5 days and ready and gone. Now it's taking up to 30 days. Time issuing electronics will go up to 10 business days, and well, it won't take that long. Once you pay the last government fee, which is the digital visa fee, usually we get a response within 1 or 2 days. They can take up to 10 days, so it's very important to keep that in mind. Usually they're very fast when expediting the actual digital visa, so it shouldn't take more than 1 or 2 days. But that's what the law says. They can take up to 10 days. Visa stamping will not longer be mandatory unless it is by a government official. Yes, the pandemic changed everything. Before the pandemic, you would have to, once you had the visa approved, you would have to go to the office on 100th Street here in Bogota, get the stamp. You would have to wait in line to process. It was torturous. Now, fortunately, after everything that happened, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs decided, well, we shouldn't have to have all these people in an office. Let's just expedite an electronic visa. So now, once the visa is approved, they send it over, and it's in a PDF with a QR code, has all your information, duration of the visa, everything that you need. And now you just have to print it out and take it with you. And that's going to be your entry pass into Colombia. And you can have it on your cell phone as well. However, past experiences, some immigration officers are a little bit, not very happy with the situation. Have to look into your cell phone. Your cell phone might, run out of battery, and then you don't have a way of showing it. So it's always best to print out a copy and have it with you. Next, please. Some typical questions that we're going to go through. Can I apply for a visa while I'm abroad? This is a very common question. Yes, you can. It's something that it's very important that wherever you apply, if you go through our services, wherever you apply, this is something that I recommend to my clients always. If you're going to apply from Colombia, then you have to be here a minimum of 30 days. That's important. If we're going to apply from, for example, Canada, then you're going to have to be in Canada for at least 30 days. It's important to not, move back and forth. For example, we apply and then you fly out to, I don't know, Europe. And then what happens that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs detects that exit, and they're like, well, we're doing a request for more information. Why is this person in, I don't know, Dominican Republic when they applied from Canada? So they're like, why didn't they do it through the consulate of Dominican Republic instead of Canada? So it's important that if you do it from your home country, for example, Canada, you are there until the visa is approved. If you're here in Colombia you have to be at least until the visa is approved. It's important to be in a legal status. That's why it's important that even though you have a tourist permit and you want to opt for a visa, digital nomad visa, you have enough time, because if you do it, for example, your visa is going to run out, the 188 days is going to run out in 2 weeks. That's not a good situation, because you're close to becoming irregular, illegal. And even though you applied within the legal time, there could be a request for more information. And if you're not legal when that happens, then you have to go through a process. You got to get safe conduct. It's like complicated. So to be more concrete to the first question, yes, you can apply from abroad, from the consulate. It's a different process, but it could be done. Or from Colombia. But you have to be in the country at least 30 days. Two, what answers could I receive back from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Well, the best one, approved. If we get that, that's the best news I can give a client. Required or request for more information. The government within those 30 days can request more information. For example, they can request a certificate of good standing, bylaws, certificate of incorporation, more bank statements. I mean, I can go on and on. Do they always request the same things? No. Sometimes they request information like a letter indicating why are you in Colombia, things like that. So it varies. It varies, and that's why it's always important to have the proper guidance, because a lot of times, a lot of people ask me, do I need an attorney? No, you don't need an attorney for this. But it does help, because there's some steps that are a little bit complicated. If you have the time for the learning curve, if you have free time during the day for all this, then by all means go, on your own. But believe me, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of information sometimes that is kind of confusing. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not always clear. You have to interpret what they're requesting a lot of the times. We've gone through this for 7 years. I know every step they take, what they request, and I kind of understand their complicated jargon, and it helps. I mean, it's better to have the proper guidance when you're doing this process. And non-approved, for example, or negado or rejected, that's the worst case scenario. That means that you can't apply for the next 6 months. So if you get a rejection, that's like the worst, because after that, even if you want to, if you cannot apply for a visa in Colombia for the next 6 months. So those are some of the decisions that the government takes. What documents need to be apostilled or legalized? This is a very popular question. Any document that's official, for example, a birth certificate, marriage certificate, those documents need to be apostilled. Some visas require this type of documentation. For example, a marriage visa. A marriage visa, we need the certificate, the marriage certificate needs to be apostilled and translated by a Colombian translator. Very important. A lot of people think, well, I can just translate it online with an agency. Well, you have to verify that it's a Colombian translator that has a license through the Universidad Nacional, or they have a resolution expedited in Colombia that authorizes them to be translators in Colombia. So if this is not compliant, then you might waste money, contracting a translator. There's a whole bunch of them online, but they don't have a license to translate in Colombia. So it's very important that these things are taken into account. It's not related to the digital nomad visa, because you do not have to apostille or legalize documentation. They could request it. I've had instances where the Ministry of Foreign Affairs asked me to translate an apostille verification letter. This is not something they can request. They did this in the beginning, and what we would do is we would send a legal letter indicating that this is not part of what the resolution or the law indicates of one of the requirements. And it worked. For a lot of clients, it worked. And because, sometimes in the beginning, there was a lot of new immigration officers, due to the high demand, due to the transition of the law, and some people were making mistakes. So it's always important to have this guidance, as I indicated, and we were able to help our clients with the situation. Next, please. Okay, so now I'm gonna have a very, very uh, good client of ours, great person. We went through this process with him, and he's a very, very great person to talk to. We went through the process. It was great. The back and forth that we had with this experience and everything was very pleasant. Very good person. His name is Thomas Douglas. He's here with us. And just so he can kind of give you information of his experience with this digital nomad visa through our law firm.
Thank you, Cesar. I'm from the US, and the entire process dealing with Cesar was really 38 days. From contacting him, having our first meeting, chatting for about an hour. I originally wanted a business visa because I thought that was the best route. I believed that the digital nomad visa was only good for 180 days. He set me straight, said, really, I think the best visa for you is a digital nomad visa. And so that's the path I went down. 38 days later, had my interview ready for myself at the consulate. And I would say the whole process was extremely smooth with Cesar. I had the benefit of of meeting him. I really feel like it was a lot of I guess good luck to meet him because he understands the business language that I expect as a US citizen. I know that sounds maybe like pompous, but there's the business side in Colombia and the business side in US, and he speaks both languages. He understands the expectations of both sides. So it was incredible. I can't imagine it going better with anybody else. The entire process was very smooth. So if you have any questions or anything specific you'd like to ask me, I'm more than happy to talk about my experience. But it was great.
Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that. Yeah, so guys, this is the end of my presentation. Um, as I indicated, this is my WhatsApp. You can visit our website. We have, if you want a consultation, you can also hit on one of the tabs where you can set up a free consultation and if you have some doubts in regards to the digital nomad visa and you would like to proceed with a digital nomad and you would like our help, we'll be glad to do so. Through that website, you can also check out the requirements for the types of visas, the how long the visa is granted for, if you can have a beneficiary for the type of visa you're looking for. Maybe you're not looking for a digital nomad visa. Maybe you're looking for a marriage visa. Maybe you're looking for a shareholder's visa. You want to incorporate a business. We also incorporate businesses here in Colombia. We're not focused only on visas. We're a corporate law firm, so we the scope of our services are corporate law, labor law. If down the road you want to open up your business, start contracting people here in Colombia, and you want to start taking advantage of this, this big boom that is existing here in Colombia in regards to investments, we're here to guide you. Through my law firm with my team, we're here to provide the clarity to navigate through these complicated waters that sometimes are a little bit overwhelming. So remember, you can follow us up in social media, Instagram, CS Law Group. Follow us. We're always giving out information, helping people, guiding people. And thank you very much for this time. Remember that you have a benefit. If you enroll with the Digital Nomad Association and you show us your enrollment, you get 20% discount. So please join them. They're a great group. There's a lot of good information out there that they provide helping digital nomads. And if you ever need an attorney to guide you through these complicated waters, don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cesar. And I agree 100% with Thomas because I had the chance to work with you also for my visa, and that was like an amazing experience. So I recommend it to everyone for real. Cesar's law firm is amazing and very human too, and professional. So that's the best that we can hope when we are foreigners in these different way of doing administration, let's say, and law. So yeah, it's time for questions. We already yeah, Rodney says is the best. So I think there's a lot of people here who agree about
Oh,
your
Rodney.
services. So we have two questions. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to write it in the chat or to raise your hand if you prefer to talk directly with Cesar. First question is from David. So here's the question. When I get a DN visa via my business base in Croatia, if I close it after I get the DN visa, will I have issues down the road? I plan to open a business in another country after closing the Croatia one. So.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, why get a digital nomad visa? He has a company right now. Do you have a company right now, and you want to use that company to obtain the digital nomad visa, but you're going to close the company? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's why I understand from the question. But if David is still here, maybe he can share his question directly
Okay, well,
on the microphone.
yeah, if you're in, if David has a company, as long as he's compliant when we apply for the visa, there shouldn't be an issue. If, for example, down the road and he already gets his visa approved, but then he closes his company or he doesn't have the contract with his company, there won't be an issue. It's not like the government is going to go and detect this. But it will be a problem if he applies for the second time. Let's say he gets a visa for 1 year, and then 1 year later, he's like, well, I want to, I want to get another digital nomad visa. If the same, requirements are not there, then that's when the problem is going to exist. But as long as you're compliant, as long as you have the 3 months prior income, you have the company, and for example, you have a service agreement with this company, or as an entrepreneur, as long as all those elements are compliant, there isn't going to be an issue.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Dave. Oh, David is answering. So if I have a US-based business after half a year, can I apply for the visa again without issues?
I'm sorry. So if he has the company for 1 year, he's going to apply. I'm sorry.
After a year. So maybe David, would you like to talk directly on the microphone? Maybe it's easier.
Hear me, guys. So basically, the idea is like my contract where I opened the company in Croatia is running out like end of October. And, I'm coming to Colombia on tourist visa on 5th of September. So I was planning to apply for a digital nomad visa, and if everything goes well and all of that, then I was planning to close the business in Croatia, but in the meantime, open the one in the US, which I would use for my services and all of that in the long run. But then after 1 or 2 years pass, depending on what healthcare do I have, can I then just apply with the new business, or will I have problems because in the meantime I close my legal entity in Croatia and all of that stuff? So that is basically the question.
Okay, got it. No, if, for example, you get approved with the first company that you tried to apply with, and everything goes smoothly, and then 1 year or 2 years later, depending on what the government gives you, you want to apply under another company. No problem at all. I mean, all they care about is that as long as you're compliant with the requirements, if down the road you change companies, your salary increments a little bit more, you have a different position, that's valid because every application is different. Some people think that it's an extension of the previous visa that they had, and that's false. There's no extension of visas. There's always you have 1 or 2 year visa, and then after that time you have a new visa, a new application. So no, you won't have any issues.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And David, I used a very similar method for mine. I have a business in the US and I used it to sponsor myself. in order to get the digital nomad visa. So hypothetically, if I close it down, during this year or something, and then I start up another one later this year for my second application, I can't imagine there'd be a problem.
Yeah, that's cool to know.
Thank you. Next question from Dave. So can I apply for my visa now here in the UK, then buy my ID once I get to Colombia? Or do I have to head to Colombia on a tourist visa and then apply for my DM visa? So I think it's because we have 10 days, if I understand, to get the ID once we are accepted. So if we are not in Colombia at this moment, what should we do? Does that mean we have 10 days to go to Colombia and get the ID and all? Or I think this is
Yeah,
the
that's
question.
that's a good question. Yeah, what we do is that for our clients, let's say, for example, you choose the UK. It's viable. We can do the application through the consulate in the UK. And once the visa is approved, um, technically you don't have to worry about the cellular ID card until you arrive into Colombia. So once you arrive into Colombia, you have 15 days to register your visa and obtain the cédula extranjería. So what we do with our clients is we have 3 clients from the UK that we have their visa approved, and we're just waiting for them to enter the country. So once they enter the country legally, that's when the time begins. And this is something very important that you guys keep in mind. If for some reason you do not register and not obtain and register for your cédula extranjería, which is your ID card, within that time period, if for example, people lay it off and say, well, I'll do it like a month later. What happens is that you may run into a fine. So it's called the proceso administrativo, and the government has the right to fine you for not registering within the time period. So be very careful with this because it does happen. But if you're abroad, for example, we're doing the process for you and you're in the UK, you haven't arrived to Colombia yet, you don't have to worry. If you're going to stay in the UK, you have your visa, but you're like, oh, we have some work issues, we have to wait, we'll wait like 2 months. No worries. But if you're in Colombia, you do have to worry because once the visa's sent out, then you have to register your visa and obtain the cédula extranjería. What we do for our clients is we fill out the form, we set up the appointment once the visa is approved. And we always indicate to our clients, please be careful with these 15 days because if you do not do it within that time period, you're going to run into the risk of getting a fine.
Perfect, thank you. And Dave has another question, which is not related to the visa, so I don't think we can talk that much about it, but I'm going to read it. What is the law around posting medication to Colombia via someone like FedEx, for example? I need my epilepsy medication and I can get 6 months at a time from doctors that my family can post. I don't know personally. I don't know if you can get your prescription with you and maybe buy your medication directly in Colombia. That's what I would say. Maybe it's more safe and easy to get. I don't know what you think, Cesar.
Yeah, it's best if you come into the country, you obtain these medications within when you're here in the Colombian territory. Because it's something that it's preferable not to run into. I can't go into depth because it depends on the type of medication, if it's a subscription, if it's doctor ordered. But what I can say, it's best just to not run the risk of having some medication because I don't know the guidelines of what type of medications can come in and which ones not. So it's always best to verify that before you come into the country. And if you feel like there's something that might not go through, then I would recommend not just waiting until you arrive to Colombia. Plus, medications here very inexpensive. You know, you can get all the medications you want at a low cost. It's actually beneficial. That's what a lot of family members from that live in the States do. They come wait until they're in Colombia, they buy medications, and then they take them with them. So yeah, I hope that clarifies your question.
Yeah, thank you. Now we have a last question from Marisa. When renewing the visa for the second year, since we have a cédula de extranjería, do we have to pay into a EPS?
Okay, very important. One of the if you read the limitations or of the digital nomad visas, that it's not they don't permit to enroll into EPS. So if you have a cédula extranjería, remember this is a V category visa. It's not an M category, which is a migrant for long-term situations. Basically, with the digital nomad visa, they expect people to just come here to visit or stay remotely for a short period. So if you're thinking, and it depends on the EPS. Some EPSs, they're like, yeah, fine, you have a cédula extranjería. I don't recommend it because that's one of the limitations that the digital nomad visa has. But if you want to have coverage, just have a travel policy, continue with your policy provider on a monthly basis. There's a lot of companies that have a monthly payment plan. But if you're asking me, if you can get an EPS, which is like the health coverage in Colombia, then it depends if the EPS approves it or lets you get enrolled. But just keep that in mind. It's a limitation. If you look at your digital nomad visa, it says in the bottom that there is that limitation that you cannot enroll in EPS.
Well, thank you. I think that's it. We made it in 45 minutes. No more questions. So last call for question right now. Meanwhile, thank you so much, Cesar. All the information is so clear. If anybody has any more questions, need help for the visa, we remind you that you can have a discount for Cesar services from the association Digital Nomad Association membership. You can go on our website. Yeah, other question from David. Review fee is non-refundable, right?
Right. Once you pay the review fee, that's it. The government
Okay.
takes that fee and it's non-refundable.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're
Et
welcome.
voilà.
No, it was great talking to everyone. Have a great day. Oh, last thing, remember, it's very important that I've seen a lot in social media in regard to licensed attorneys. Remember, if you don't decide to contract with us, that's fine. But whoever you contract and they're saying they're an attorney, always verify their license. As attorneys, we have a license. There are websites where you can verify that we are legal attorneys here in Colombia. Actually, I sent out this information out in the group at one point, kind of giving you the step-by-step of how to verify if an attorney is actually a licensed attorney, because there's a lot of situations where maybe you have a doubt and say, well, if this person is providing this service as an attorney, is he a legal attorney? So there are very important ways of verifying this through a license. Every attorney has a license and a number, and you can verify our information through a website. So through the Digital Nomad Association, there was a post about this, so very important to always verify that.
Thank you so much, Cesar. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.